Okay, here we are, episode number 12. And here you're seeing the 𝗦𝗢𝗏𝗧𝗥𝗡𝗦 building. Do you know what sci-fi reference that is? Maybe I'll tell you later. I'm going to be doing a little bit more work just to finalize this piece of the base here, and then final touches on the mall. We're going to wrap it all up here. This episode we're going to pretty much wrap up Alpha Sector. At least the interior. And there's the Winter Village and the Rollerball Arena again. You'll see me doing some more detailing, putting some of that tile down there. Then here, this is the Riminem Resort. It's this big resort, and then I'm going to be putting in a walkway. You can see people walking on it here. So the walkway is going to stretch all the way down the entire rim. And here's a little shot of the entire Alpha Sector. Here you can see I did a little more finishing work on the Taco Bell building. Really enjoyed building Alpha Sector, and I'm looking forward very much to building Beta Sector and working on the agriculture. This is D13, and welcome aboard. Alright, odds and ends. Here's the 𝗦𝗢𝗏𝗧𝗥𝗡𝗦 building. And like I mentioned earlier, this is a reference, a sci-fi reference. And quite a few people, I'm surprised that I gave this reference to, didn't get it. It's the building that Neo works in the original Matrix. Now, the building is not exactly the 𝗦𝗢𝗏𝗧𝗥𝗡𝗦 building, but it's big and, similar to it. I couldn't quite get it colored greenish like that. So here I'm trying to do the 𝗦𝗢𝗏𝗧𝗥𝗡𝗦 letters, and I'm turning them into procedural objects, and there's still no way to mass resize with that I know of with these procedural objects. I really want a way to highlight 10 procedural objects, select the scale tool, and just scale them all at once together. That would be, for me, that would be ideal. So here I've got them all, and I'm trying to figure out the right size to make them, and move them up the building, and they have to be tipped or tilted slightly. So we go through this whole, resizing and reshaping to get these up here, and then I'll come back and put a little background behind it, a little dark background, so it looks more like the actual 𝗦𝗢𝗏𝗧𝗥𝗡𝗦 building. And then I wanted to, so this is the only Matrix reference in the city right now, but I wanted to have, in each episode I really want to have some sort of sci-fi reference that's different than the previous episodes. So right now we're looking at the Matrix here, and here I'm actually still trying to figure out letter sizing. This is really why I need to have the ability to multi-resize all of the procedural objects at once. But hopefully that'll be something coming to procedural objects in the future. Would be really cool. I mean, grouping wasn't in here for a long time, and now we have grouping, but I really would like grouping and have the functions that work on single objects working on the groups, It would make sense, because now when you turn a building into a procedural object, the sub-buildings in it will also convert and they become a group. But you can't really resize the whole group. You have to resize each individual piece. It's enough complaining. You didn't come here to hear me complain about that. So here I was working on getting a black background cube, or some black cube that I can put in here, and we're going to put it in and stretch it so that it goes all the way up from the bottom to the top here. I was having so many problems with different cubes. I tried a concrete cube, and then I tried these are these color cubes from City Wall, and you can find him on the workshop. He's got a lot of, you look for Mars, look for his Mars assets, and you can find a lot of really cool assets. Sheets of like plastic, sheets of metal, sheets of things like that you can use for any number of things, really. And he's got some networks, like network cables and network odd-shaped different materials. We're just having a nice little quiet look here at the Metacortex building. Before we go move on to the next thing, which is the rollerball arena was missing something. And I took a prop of a police officer on a motorcycle, made it really big and stuck it there. So it looks like, rollerball does have motorcycle stuff. Here I put in a rotating door. I wanted to have some motion there. And there's a lot of these little 2-seat or 2-bench commercial buildings that are just little places to eat, and I stuck those all around. Oh, now the Riminem walkway. So here I'm actually turning things off, lots and lots of things off, so we can see underneath and be able to put in this walkway. But it's really difficult once you've built all of this to come back and try to put this path in. So what I ended up having to do is I ended up putting in this big long path that goes to the ground on both ends. And then I moved it to like the end. I kept adding using network multi-tool, adding nodes, and then just dragging them and resetting their height so that they were all connected along these, like one node at the end of each of these pieces of the resort. And then I'm able to go back in here and add more nodes to connect between the sections. So you see I have like a walkway between. So I actually have to add a couple nodes and lower the piece that goes through the walkway. So it's like you go along the top, inside the edges, down some stairs, across the walkway, and then back up. But this basically, as I connect them up, we'll have people walking a long distance. So you can see I actually have them going in through the arena there. But there's more places where it's going to be connected to go down and connect. So people will want to use this. Oddly, they actually do quite, use it. They don't use it as much as they use the lower walkway or the roads. I mean, who knows what the pathing algorithm is in the game? I'm sure somebody does, but I don't. But I certainly can tell you that whatever it's doing is it's selecting a path, and it's not always selecting the most optimal path. Whereas I would have thought the citizens would have almost always, or maybe always, go the optimal path. But there must be some sort of randomizer in there, which is smart. Truthfully, if you've got a randomizer built in, then what happens is they won't all, even if there's two people that they're the same, both have the same destination, they won't both take the same path. But maybe it's, I'm guessing here that they do a large portion of the people take the most optimal path and some take a less optimal path, so that the game so it's not so predictable, so that not all the traffic always gets down the same roads, not all the people always take the same paths. Otherwise it'd be impossible really to get your traffic flow in your city working, and you know, halfway decent. There we go down the other side. So this other side is actually broken in half. There's two halves of it, and you're seeing me go down the opposite side here, and you know, like I get to the, I think it's the big resort, the Stargazer, and that's where it sort of breaks and separates. So there's half a resort on one side of, and each side of that really. So now it's a matter of working through making the walkways. So I actually went through and made the walkways invisible. So I have a raised invisible path. And I'd already done the part where I worked on the path to make it go through these walkways. Except on this side where you see there's no walkway. I just lowered it so that it went inside the, you know, the sides of the base. And here I'm actually putting a walkway in. You'll see where I lower it to match the walkway, and then that'll become invisible. So look at all the people who decided to take that. And here I'm looking at these buildings here to try to fill in a little bit behind here. Any place where I put paths going down, or where they kind of come out and go down underneath, there's spots where the paths kind of poke through in different areas. So I went through here with these, you know, these little road, or these little building fillers, and used them to sort of fill in the space where, you know, just to give it like a area where you're going into the building, a nice flat edge, so to speak, in order to do that with. Here we are over by the Star Trek area. And there's the Four Towers Resorts again, when all of the trees reappeared. I don't know what happened to those buildings, but half the video that I shot of it the trees are all gone, and then they're back. I have no idea where that happened. And this is just me fixing the final, you know, fixing the doors along each of these, so that we have little doorways on each end of the walkways. And there's a couple of posts and things that don't belong there. I'm just going down here now and looking and see what got messed up as I went. Some props and stuff, you know, popped up in the air, or, you know, grass, you know, became very uneven, or decals moved, you know what I mean? That kind of stuff does happen. So now over here by the arena, we're doing a little more detailing. I'm putting in a path over here in a little plaza. I really wanted this this corner plaza. I thought it would look really cool if we could get these little commercial buildings in here and make them functional and have a path for people to get to them. So eventually I come in here and I put this path in, and I'm going to make it invisible, I believe, and then we're going to put in some decals, some tile. I found a really cool pattern. I mean, I had the grass in here at first, and then I realized I don't really want the grass. I want something else in front of these buildings. So we get these buildings in here. These are all functional commercial buildings. I just leave the, you know, random colors on the, you know, umbrellas on the roofs, because I think it looks good just with the random colors. There, we sort of take it away so we can add this tile. I believe you'll see which one I pick here shortly. I went through pretty much every decal I had and sort of trying to figure it out. Yeah, I thought this one looked pretty good. And I can sort of duplicate this, you know, turn it into a PO, and I can make it narrower in spots where I need a little bit narrower of a piece. And I'm going to do it down at the other end as well. And here we're just taking a little moment to watch the people walk around and see the vehicles come and go from the buildings. And then down here I also take out the grass. And we're just going to put the tile in down here as well. So that gives the arena more of a, what do you want to call it? You know, it gives them some areas where people can congregate that aren't on the grass. And here I'm just bringing over some of the different tree planters and put this one in with some benches. You'll see in the cinematics later that there's some like wavy, you know, like those big noodle, air noodle guys who were in front of like T-Mobile places or whatever. You'll see some of them, I think, in the cinematics. They are something that I added at the very, very end, and I didn't do it on camera, so there's no recording of it. But you will see them moving and flailing about on that plaza in the future. Here again, we're just doing little bits of detailing, putting in plants and things like that. And here underneath here, I put more cubes in so that we can get more people wanting to come here to the plaza. And put some invisible park people generators in there so there's more people. Using the tile now to finish off some of the walkways at the hospital, at the medical facility, and near the mall. So this gives me like these little plazas that are of, you know, tile. And here I'm trying to figure out what goes on top of the mall. So I actually got this building and I turned it into a PO and put it up on top here. I thought it just looked like it needed something on the roof. It's not just some miscellaneous stuff. I grabbed one of these rotating roof things from the casino and put it on top of this building. Because I thought, well, this looks kind of cool. This could have something rotating on top of it, and that would, you know, add a little, you know, dimension of, you know, motion to it that I like. And then I'm just sort of filling in underneath on some of these areas that look like they could, you know, just use a little extra something to cover up the outside edge of the base and make it look like they tried to build in pretty much all of the spaces that they could possibly build in. So just using that generic building. Here's some of these are working plazas. These are like parks. I'm just moving up and down the base again. So this I thought needed to be a little wider, so I made it a little bit wider across here to cover that space. Again, these tiles, you've seen me actually fix these specific tiles like a dozen times in the episodes. Oh, and here we finally come to the Taco Bell building, and I wanted to finish up on the roof. I really felt like I left it unfinished in the episode. And so I came back and finally put in all these railings. So you're going to see me go along here and put railings in pretty much, you know, all the way across here. Or maybe through the magic of editing, and we'll skip forward just a tiny bit. Yeah, it was really interesting that I found these glass railings on the workshop. I really like them, and they add this, you know, glass see-through futuristic feel for walkways everywhere. Now, it is a lot of procedural objects. Possibly too many. I'm going to probably hit some sort of a limit in the game at some point if I keep trying to detail like this. So you probably won't see me do that much kind of detailing in the industrial area when I finally start working on those areas. So definitely up next is going to be the agriculture. I have absolutely decided that I'm going to work very hard on that in the off time after the end of the season. And try to get as much footage as I can for the entire second season done as quick as possible. I really want to try to put out episodes still on a nice cadence without having to take too many breaks. So you will see a Captain's Log episode coming between seasons, where I'll debut the new opening credits and new closing credits and give you an idea of what we're going to be seeing in the episodes, maybe some previews. Here you can see I'm putting doorways on every one of these exterior platforms now. And in a little while, I'm going to go ahead and do a really, a lot of pathways so people walk around up there. So right now you're seeing I'm putting people on every balcony. Every balcony was identical. So I decided I wanted to make every balcony a little bit different. So first thing I did was come through and get some people. And I do copy paste some of the people. It's, you know, it's not perfect. But eventually I go through here and I put little barbecue grills and other things on these balconies to make each one slightly different. Look at all the people. The people are just going crazy going in and out of this this area. Inside the Taco Bell building is a ton of housing and commercial and things. So people are constantly wanting to go in. And then also the roads on the interior here are supposed to be banning personal cars. So the pods you see going should be service vehicles. So the people have to, in order to get to their car, they have to go on inside the edge of the base where they can get in their car. And then they travel inside the hidden highways. Here I was looking at these little rooftop, what do you call it? They're just like little rooftop gardens or little things you can put on top of the roofs of buildings in your city to help detailing them a little bit. So I put some up on top here. You know, I thought, oh, that'd be kind of a cool area. You know, people could go up there. And this is just, I was really trying to figure out how do I do more like food areas around here just to fill this in a little bit. I found quite a few of these little cafes and stuff on the workshop. As I put them in there. So this was an area that wasn't quite finished, right around the Starfleet headquarters. So I went in here and I grabbed some of these trees and other things that I sort of used in the amusement park area, and some of these other alien-like looking trees. And I thought they looked really cool here. So yeah, I like the purple. The purples and these red colors, they really do blend in well with the amusement park because I'd use very similar colors. So I start bringing more of these big trees in here, filling in a lot of this area with these big purple, pink trees. And some of these blue ones as well. They're on the workshop. They're alien trees. They're really cool. Can't remember who makes Magic. I think 𝗦𝗢𝗔𝗟𝗘𝗧𝗢𝗢 or CK. I can't remember exactly how it's spelled. But just look up alien or alien trees and you'll start to see them on the workshop and a lot of other alien stuff. There's some really cool, wacky alien stuff that you can use to make an alien world. You know, trees, mushrooms, all kinds of stuff. And then here's the rooftops of Taco Bell. I thought, I need to put stuff up here. You know, we're going to build a path up here in a little bit. And I brought over some more of these orange colored wicker stuff. And so here is where I'm trying to build this path to go out to each of these different balconies. So I ended up building the path away from the building first, so I could then move it into place. It was not easy. This was one of the more difficult things. I almost feel like I need to build these paths in very early before I start doing the detailing, because once I get these, roof pieces in, I have to go through and I have to assign them to a group, anything that's a procedural object. And if it's not a procedural object, it's in the way and I can't see behind it. So, if another cool idea for a mod would be a way to do layering of props so that you can show and hide props, and grouping of props so you can make a group that all fits together and can move together. Yes, you can go into the editor if you wish, and you can edit a building, so to speak, make a building and just put all the props you want in it. I believe you can do that. And then you can save it. And then you have a group of props that are all together as a building. So if you wanted to make your own park, and reuse it 50 times. You certainly can. If you just wanted to make a park filled with barrels and an oil slick, you could do that too. I don't know why you would want to, but here we are with the, I'm trying to get a pool to fit here, and I was going to try to use a prop. And eventually I just said, that's enough of that. I turned it back into a procedural object again. And I think this is the pool I settle on. And I'm going to use it a couple of times up here. Now here I'm having all kinds of problems. There's some roads or paths that are invisible that are just kind of wonky. I think I accidentally dragged some of them across here, so I ended up having to delete a bunch of these weird paths. So here's where I'm actually trying to lighten the pool up a bit. So turn it gray. I didn't like the blue edge all the way around the pool. And this gives me I use the procedural objects text layer thing that lets you put a image over the top of it, or a color over it, and then like make it semi-transparent. So I was actually able just to turn those edges gray. And here we go, little pool on every little balcony. And you can see the paths that come out here, so I'll have to be doing something to get people to want to travel out here. So we'll do some raised, what do you call them? Raisable people park generators. Yep, definitely doing a lot more work here with these roofs. There's the people park generators coming in. You can see it's not connected to a road. So that is another issue that I had here. Was the road access for up here. So again, here you see me turning off the sides, and you can see what a jumbled up mess we have going on back here. So what I did is I made a one-way road going from the road that's back there, sort of just looping back on itself, because there's a one-way road that's got a bunch of houses along it, a bunch of housing, and then we just sort of raise that up under here, and it'll take care of all of the parks. And I have to do one across the back area as well. But it is a jumbled up mess. It really is. I can't add anything else here that's functionally... I mean, thank goodness I'm pretty much done with this section, because there's not much else I can do here. There's so many roads and so many paths and everything hidden inside the edges of the base. And there again, you can see here's where I'm going to get some cubes. I just don't even want to have the patience to put them down one at a time. I'm just going to wholesale copy paste a bunch of cubes inside here. And with all those paths, people will travel from those all the way up here to these little park generators that I'm adding. Now, finishing this up was something I've been wanting to do for quite a while, and was glad I was able to come in here and finish it up at the very end, and we don't hit any kind of prop or procedural object limits yet. I do think, like I said, the other areas of the base aren't going to be as detailed, although there'll probably be some. Had this idea for like a mining thing that I talked about previously, and I'm going to be trying to test sort of how something like that might look in part of the base, like a refining area. So there you can see I've put a lot of work into the top of that building. Got a lot of stuff up there. And yeah, we're in here now just sort of finishing this last bit off here with some trees. Wanted to get this to look really pretty, you know, sort of finish it. It looked unfinished when I came over here. And so I did finally bring in a grass network and raise it all the way up here, because that lets me put the trees in. The other grass I had in there is procedural objects. I was fixing a path that disappeared here. There was an invisible path going right across that glass roof, and it somehow disappeared. So now I'm just sort of moving through the base. What do I see? Am I missing anything? Is there any openings that need a little something put in them? I turned off some of the other parts of the base so I can continue that road on through. It was not This is the lower road. It wasn't going all the way to the central area here, so I actually connected it all up to make sure that we had it so that vehicles could move around better. And there you go. Here's the cinematics, and we'll see you again next episode. Thanks for stopping by. I hope you'll like and subscribe. It really helps the channel, and we'll see you again soon. If you like this video, check out these cool videos.